away to California to one of his groups to receive his medallion. And I thought that was so great. They touched him so deeply that he needed to be there. So Nick, please come on in.
Val, thank you so much. Great to see everyone this morning. My name's Nick and I'm an alcoholic. And when Val asked me to share, I said yes, right off the bat. Val's appeared in my recovery in different areas. I started seeing her occasionally. She would help us with speakers at Father Martin's Ashley Recovery Group. And then I was led to South Dixie by one of his angels. And there she is again. And now I see her in the evening. And to me, that's one of the signs from God. You might want to follow her and keep her close. So thank you, Val. Absolutely humbled by having you in my life. If it's okay with everyone, I do want to congratulate Vanessa and Linda, and just take a moment of silence for Rudy and his family member. Eternal rest grant unto them, O Lord. Let the perpetual light shine upon them. May their soul and the souls of all the faithful departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace. Amen. My name is Nick and I'm an alcoholic. And like Val said, I through God's grace, just celebrated 2 years on July 11th. And my West Coast home group is A Vision for You. And it's amazing how I got led to that group. The gentleman that leads the Monday Big Book meeting, Kevin, spoke at one of Father Martin's Ashley is where I went and got sober in December of 2021. And Kevin spoke one night and he made an incredible impact on me that evening. I reached out to him the next day and said, I got to follow you guys. What's going on out on the West Coast? Because I'm drawn to it. And then there's been a series of events after that led me to South Dixie and you all. So what it was like, I grew up in a Baltimore suburb of Northwood, which is the northern section of town. I'm one of 5, 3 older sisters, younger brother. The first 6 years of my life was spent in Northwood, idyllic, I might be speaking things people don't understand, but in Baltimore, there were, you would have like the carnival guys going up and down the alleys, with rides. You would have the good humor man. You would have we called them A-rabbers. And what they were gentlemen that would lead horse pony-drawn carts with vegetables and fruits on the back of them. And you could hear their chants like blocks away. And it was like, blueberries, strawberries, watermelon. You could just hear it. And it was like coming from these beautiful voices. And that's what I grew up around. And walking up to church at St. Matthew's at the corner of Loch Raven and Woodburn, Loch Raven Boulevard and Woodburn. And here come the Balducci's, mother, father, my sisters, me, Michael. And my sisters went to parochial school there. And then we moved out to northern Baltimore County. It was a dream of Dad's always to, I guess, my dad was a gentleman farmer. My dad actually was a Renaissance man. He played in the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra. He was a civil engineer. He led the first Marine Division band when he was in the Marine Corps. Incredible musician, incredible human being. Lots of talents, leather work, wrote poetry, and was the central figure in our family. He was the captain, there was no doubt about it. So grew up in northern Baltimore County, farmland. We had a small garden, well, probably about an acre and a half, but that's where we grew what we ate. And I loved, we all pitched in, we all worked hard. And then as I progressed into school, Elementary school was great, lots of social stuff. And then high school came in. And I think that's when I first noticed that something was just slightly off. My family were very high performers in a lot of different ways. My sisters were musicians. They were great in the classroom, great on the fields, theater. It was just, there was always something going on and in our family. And I too enjoyed music. I played all B-flat instruments. But even then, my father would always be, have you practiced your tenor sax? Have you practiced your clarinet? And to me, it almost came naturally, and that was not good because I should have practiced, and I chose not to. And I think the fact that it came easy to me kind of grew my head in other areas too. Having said that, it was about 9th, 10th grade. I did well in a lot of my classes, sciences, math, languages, but struggled mightily in English, especially when it came to reading and book reports, things like that. I didn't realize it at the time, but it was undiagnosed ADHD, because I would read a book like, so here, Nick, read Catcher in the Rye and break it down for me. So I'd read the first page and not know what I was talking about or what I just read and comprehended. And I'd start over again. It became very frustrating because it was so easy for my siblings, to the point where I quickly learned how to being the son of someone that was being enabled by my parents and by my mother, I should say, and siblings. I was born the oldest son in an Italian-American family, and I was granted certain privileges as a result of that. Not really, mainly by, I would say, the older members of the Balducci family, and that I quickly realized that and was like, wow, this is a good deal, and took advantage of that, which then I extended into high school. So here I am, book report, right? Catcher in the Rye. Oh, hey, Gina, can you do this for me? You're real good at, book reports. Can you, oh yeah, sure. I'll knock it out for you. And then someone else, hey, you know what? Hey Jay, I got to get on the fields on Saturday. And the only way I can stay on there is if you do this for me. Okay, yeah, we got to have you on those fields. So I quickly manipulated people, learned how to do that. And I would say that's when a lot of the character defects just started coming out of me. My drinking at that point had slowly grown. That was a rural part, kind of still is, of northern Baltimore County. So there were a lot of field parties. That's what we did on the weekends. Bonfires, drinking, sex. I mean, that's just what it was. We would go off and do things that we shouldn't have been doing, but the alcohol triggered a lot of that, and also my character defects. Graduated from high school. I did have success on the athletic fields. I played, I did well in soccer and in lacrosse, but decided to focus my energy on lacrosse in college. And I played at Towson State University for a Hall of Fame coach, Carl Runk. And that's where it was interesting. When playing there, I did well actually scholastically, because at that point I realized I don't have to take English. I was an accounting major. I did well in those classes. And I was grateful to be able to do well in class, do well in the fields, until my sophomore year, that fall. We just finished up fall ball, and December 20th of 1986, I received a phone call from, actually, I'm sorry, I was working actually at a bar called the Mount Washington Tavern as a busboy. And my mother had called down to the general manager and said, and Nikki's got to come back home. It was 10 o'clock, I think, on a Friday night. And mother gathered everyone, and she let us know that dad had died from a massive heart attack that day. And we just sat in the living room and just cried, all of us, mother and her children. And so I'm getting emotional because it was actually right below me. I'm in that house right now. My sister and brother-in-law still live here. I can remember that night. That kicked off I would say the trauma that started my heavy drinking and heavy use. Because I didn't know how to deal with feelings. I numbed them. That's how I dealt with them. I numbed them through alcohol. I numbed them through powder. Anything that would just take me out of that reality. And along with that reality at Dad's viewing, of course, older family members, once again, aunts, uncles would come up. You know, you're the oldest son. You know, you got to stand up and help your mother. You've got to, you know, be the man in the house. I couldn't even wipe my own, you know what. I was a 20-year-old, and a very immature 20-year-old at that. I cared more about what we were doing that weekend and who I was going to be with, as opposed to caring for my family. I then started just this 30 years of active alcoholism and addiction. Real quick, just getting back to Taos, because I'm going to put a period at the end of that sentence. I had a chance to nine-step my head coach, Carl Runk. He's 89 now. His daughter had reached out to me back in May and said, Dad wants to go up to Syracuse to watch Towson play Syracuse in the first round of the NCAA men's lacrosse. And Dad's 89. Can you drive up there with him? And I thought it was odd that she called me alone. And it was Mother's Day weekend, and my mother had since passed. So I had a chance to drive up and back to Syracuse with my head coach. And I had a chance to tell him, I'm sorry that I was actually academically dismissed my senior year when I was voted as captain by my teammates and confirmed by the coach. And here I am, a senior, not eligible to play. And I had a chance to be honest with Coach and tell him what was going on, and apologize that I wasn't there for him and his team that year. And he said, "I prayed for you, son. I knew what was going on. I prayed for you." And anyway, and on into life I went. I was let me wrap this up. I was married in my 30s. Wasn't really fit to be around in my 20s. A beautiful wife, beautiful two sons. I wasn't an everyday user. I wasn't a drinker. I was in every week. But when these feelings would build up and they were always simmering in the back, that's how I would check out. So at times Jennifer had no idea where her husband was. The boys were young. But I certainly wasn't present for them. I was physically, but not spiritually, mentally, emotionally. That's one of the miracles, by the way. I'm going to breakfast with them. We have a standing Sunday morning breakfast. So after this, I get to see my sons, Nicholas and Michael Patrick, which is always the highlight of my week. So on into life, 2010, Jennifer had enough. And literally, I think that's what she said. I can't do this anymore, Nick. I cannot do this anymore. To which I was fine, if you want to do this anymore. And off I went. And it was challenging because of the boys. I didn't know how to deal with that. But you just did it. And that caused me to go on a really big one. I would say that we were granted our divorce in August. September kicked off a really bad time. And I was involved in a single car accident up near my business, which is in upstate New York, Windsor, New York. And it was so bad that I was in a coma for 2 months. The area up there, I went to Wilson Medical Center, which was right outside Binghamton. And my family, once they were told, They flew me down to shock trauma in Baltimore because they wanted to amputate left arm and left leg due to the nature of my injuries. And I couldn't advocate for myself, obviously. I was in a coma till just about Thanksgiving. So thank God they flew me down to Baltimore, shock trauma. But here's the craziness. Did I stop? Nope. I slowed down, but it was still there. Fast forward, 2013, I met a woman, Kim, and I was starting to feel that restless, irritable discontent. Like I gotta get in a relationship, because I'm missing something. And Kim and I were married. I mean, it was a totally reactive, alcoholic move. But she'd made it clear from day one, I know that you have a problem with drugs and alcohol, and if that starts in our marriage, that's it. We're done. She made it crystal clear. And she actually followed through with it too, where I could manipulate in the past. So we got divorced in 2018, and that's where my disease got really progressive. And I went on a big one. And it was hard to run a business. It was hard to be present for anybody, even my employees. And it was just bad. It was just bad. Spring of 2021, during this time, someone had reached, a woman that I had went to high school with, Terry, had reached out to me through Facebook, and Kim and I had been divorced, and she just was divorced with her husband. And I was like, man, this is great. Stars are aligning, finally a woman that understands me. We knew each other from high school. She was a couple years older than me. So in high school, as you guys can imagine, she's a senior, I'm in 10th grade. And that was like a bridge too far. I was like a 30-year-old and a 20-year-old in my twisted thinking. And she said, I want to come up and see you. She lived in Texas. And she flew up into Baltimore on a weekend. And we shared that weekend together and consummated our flirtatious ways from high school. And my disease kicked right in. Hey, let's get married, And I couldn't move to Texas because of the nature of my business in upstate New York. And I was actually shocked when I manipulated her to quit her job, sell her house, and leave her mother in Texas to come up and be my wife. Labor Day that year, we moved everything from her and her pups up to Baltimore. We agreed to buy one of my family's houses, my sister and brother-in-law's house, which was, they were getting ready to put on the market. Anyway, we're setting up there, we're buying stuff. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm an addict and alcoholic. And it kicked in because all that fear started coming through me. Like, oh my God, she has no idea. And I checked out on her for a weekend. And she was just, I'll never forget the look on her face. I've never seen eyes that puffed out from crying. She was just by herself, nobody around. And me, an alcoholic addict, who had just led her up here. And she begged me not to ever drink or use again. Oh yeah, no problem, Terry. I can take it or leave it. You're right. I'm sorry. She said, I got to go back to Texas and my mother's not well. I got to go see her. And she was getting ready to fly back. And she looked at me and said, please, if you can just do 3 things for me, make sure the dogs are fed. Be at BWI on Friday to pick me up. And God, please don't use. I went 0 for 3. My sons, thank God, looked after the pups. I couldn't meet her at BWI in Baltimore because I was out of my mind, and I used. I came back, and she's like, I gotta go back to Texas. And what are you going to do? And I called my therapist, and she said to call up Father Martin's Ashley, which had just been changed to Ashley Addiction Services up in Havre de Grace, which is about 40 minutes from where I am right now, just east of me. I had no idea who Father Martin was. I had no idea what a recovery center was. I never learned about any of that. But that's where I got sober and learned about my disease and learned about little things like playing the tape forward, which I use that a lot. It was because it was real easy for me to remember that look on Terry's face with her eyes so swollen because of my actions and my words and my manipulation and lies and deceit. Because I knew if I drank, that's where I was headed. And I got out of Ashley, and this is where I'd say the strength part of my story starts. I started coming in contact with people that made an incredible impact on my life and my recovery. One of them was my sponsor, who shared passionately about emotional sobriety one night. And I was like, that's it. That's what I need. Because I knew that drinking and alcohol and drugs are just a symptom of my disease. It's all these character defects in here. And they get together every now and again and hold these committee meetings, and I got to watch them. And there's a subcommittee group in there too of character defects. It was about January of this year, and I was sharing with one of my friends at A Vision for You, one of God's angels, Stephanie, who's a member of South Dixie. And I said, Steph, is this all there is? I'm like treading water here. And she knows me to be a believer. And she goes, hey, check this out. Listen to these guys. And she gave me the rocketed.org website. And I listened to Russell Spatz, Stevie B, Paul, just a lot of the guys there. And I almost ran off the road on my way up to upstate New York to my business. I'm like, this is it. I'm in prelapse. I'm ready. Russell always talks about in these talks that I'm here for the person that has 1 year, 5 year, 10 years, that's going to go out and relapse and he drink and he doesn't know it. And that was me. I was at that point. So I became a member of South Dixie in March. I started being around some of these beautiful faces that I'm looking at right now, men and women that stand up for me on a daily basis. Men and women that were there this Monday night with me, yesterday at BYOC in the morning. I'm humbled by your presence. I truly am, and your kind words and encouragement. One of them I'm looking at sits right next to me, and that was Jay. And Jay was one of the first people, and by chance reached out to me and just said, hey, nice to talk with you. I got sober at Father Martin's Ashley too, and told me his story. And like many of the people in South Dixie, I have a relationship with Jay that is unparalleled from my perspective. It led me to other groups. I'll wrap up here in 5 minutes if that's okay, Val. Okay. Jay led me to Men on Track, which is a noon meeting 7 days a week. I try to get there as much as I can during the work week, but that helps balance me out because I have to be careful if I wait too long with my meetings. I need the strength of the fellowship of the believers, the fellowship of the Spirit, and that's where God has put you all in my life and keeps me centered and keeps me balanced, and led me to BYOC. I don't do a whole lot of meetings there, but I'm hopefully growing in that. And because of that, I humbly asked Anthony if he would take me through the steps again, and he's doing that. And I'm so grateful that he's in my life. And I just got started in that process. My sponsor, Bruce, took me through using Wally P's Back to Basics. But I need more. I need something different. And I'm humbled that Anthony is doing this. And the hope is what I see and hear every day. And that is men and women with 20, 30, 40 years of sobriety, who share that, to be on the lookout for this treading of water that I felt back in January, because it's going to happen again. And as long as I have a strong belief in God, my higher power, which I'm growing to do, that's been the biggest change in my recovery over the last 6 months or so. And just little signs from God, like, here's another little tidbit, and I'll probably end on this, but it was sent to me. I also, a friend of mine from A Vision for You sent me the book Jesus Calling, and that is a part of my daily readings. And right off the bat this morning, I get this. It's today's excerpt. Hold my hand and walk joyously with me through this day. Together we will savor the pleasures and endure the difficulties it brings. Be on the lookout for everything I prepared for you. Stunning scenery, bracing winds of adventure, cozy nooks for resting when you're weary, and much more. I am your guide, as well as your constant companion. I know every step of the journey ahead of you, all the way to heaven. You don't have to choose between staying close to me and staying on course, since I am the way. Staying close to me is staying on course. As you focus your thoughts on me, I will guide you carefully along today's journey. Don't worry about what is around the next bend. Just concentrate on enjoying my presence and staying in step with me. And that's today's excerpt from Jesus Calling. And that's my hope right there. Because of the relationship I have with God, I'm starting to experience some of these fourth dimension things, like not fearing the upcoming winter at my business in upstate New York, where things slow down to almost nothing. I would be terrified in the winters past. God's with me. Everything will be just fine. And he's put people in my life and also giving me little advice and tidbits along the way on how to be a better man, be a better person, be a better brother, be a better father, be a better human being. And I'm so grateful once again to my brothers and sisters from South Dixie. I truly love you all, and it's so great to see you here this Sunday morning. And with Val, that's it for me. Thank you all so much. Appreciate it.
All right, Nick, that was wonderful. Thank you so much for taking time out of your morning, and I hope you have a nice breakfast. Janet, please come on in. Oh, hold on. I might have done something. Okay, try it now. Uh-oh. Go ahead, Rudy. It looks like Janet's frozen.
Wanted to do as a Roosevelt tradition. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing.
Thanks, Janet. Go ahead, Rudy.
I'm Rudy. I'm an alcoholic. And first, I'd like to thank God for another day without drinking. Also like to thank you for sharing, Nick, and especially for reading that passage from Jesus. You know, so in our literature, it says we will instinctively know how to handle situations that used to baffle us. Yesterday morning, my 24-year-old grandson put a pistol to his head, pulled the trigger. That baffled me. I just was talking to this kid. Everything seemed so normal, but it baffled me that he would do something like that. But instinctively, I knew that I needed to get on a meeting and talk about how I was feeling. Now, I'm telling you, I'm not a courageous person. I'm telling you right now, I'm hurt. But what's more important, inside my house right now is my wife, my 2 daughters, one of which is his mother, 3 of my granddaughters, and they're all hurt. So in this particular situation, my job is to put my pain on the curb and be there for my family. And I never would have thought like this if you guys wasn't in my life. I cannot tell you how grateful to God I am to be in Alcoholics Anonymous. It just changed my life. It changed my way of thinking. And I'm hurting so bad that I want to stop right here. But thank you.
Thank you, Rudy. Come on in, Heather. Sorry.
That's okay. Hi, everybody. My name's Heather. I'm an alcoholic. Nick, thanks so much for your share. I really love you. One thing that came to mind is, you know, you just seem like someone who's facing reality, which we've been talking about the past couple of days with Russell, how we don't, you know, we're spiritually blind for so much of our lives. And you seem sober, you know, not just not drinking or not getting high, but really sober about life and facing the truth. I really appreciate the role you play in our fellowship. I got really emotional all through your share. Someone who can carry a message like you, it's just so important. We just, at the bottom, you know, we're all the same, and same experiences, same feelings, very similar. I'm grateful that you're working with Anthony. Anthony's also so great. I'm just so grateful for the fellowship, and really proud of you and proud to know you. I can't wait to meet you someday. Congratulations on your 2 years. Okay.
Thank you, Heather. Come on in, Vera.
Hi, everybody. My name's Vera, and I'm an alcoholic. Rudy, I'm so sorry for your loss, first of all. You know, I can't even imagine. My son's 25, and you're proof of what this program's all about, honestly. And I thank you for you are courageous. You know, just the fact that you're here. Nick, man, amazing share. I could identify so much. You know, my brother is the oldest, and I live with him. So, you know, all the things you were talking about, your child, your family, you know, growing up. Even for me in high school, I was a major in the band, and, you know, the parties afterwards and the drinking and, you know, all of it, you know, and the relationships and just so much identification. I'm really sorry I missed a couple of your shares. I've been having some time issues lately. I don't know. It just hasn't been right. So it's what God's will is for me today. But you just bring light to every meeting. You know what I mean? You just bring God definitely speaks through you. You know, I've learned not to depend on people, places, and things, you know, but I can see a channel, you know, when I know it's there, and you definitely are channeling God. And I appreciate all your shares and your love and your compassion. You know, I mean, it just warms my heart. You know, every time you share it, just want to say thank you so much. Thank you both for your service.
Thanks, Sarah. All right. Miss Tina, come on in.
Alcoholic Tina, Nick, I just want to come in and thank you. I am so glad you've given all of us an opportunity to know you better. I had never heard your story before, and it's wonderful. I'm familiar with it. My mom came from a big Italian family, enmeshed Italian family with each other, and the oldest son was my uncle, and you know, that's the expectation, was that he'd pick up and be strong, and he was, you know. Of course, he was also affiliated, he was a bookie, and he was also affiliated with a lot of things in Youngstown, so I'm not quite sure about his journey. But I understood what you were saying. And I understood what you were saying about going from relationship to relationship and doing what we do so well. We blow them up, we hurt people. And wow, I related to you totally about that. So thank you, Nick, for coming in, and I will continue to get to know you, and it's been a blessing. And I just want to say to Rudy that Rudy, you and your family are in my heart today. Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, Tina. All right, Jay, come on in.
Thanks, Phil. Jay, alcoholic. Nikki B, man, you just knocked it out of the park. That was just, wow. You know, the way you delivered the message and the message that you delivered were just incredible. Best I've ever heard you talk. And Father Martin's looking down from heaven and smiling at you, I can tell you that. You know, I remember when I first checked into Ashley, Father Martin used to hold court in the dining room, and I went up and introduced myself to him, and he looked at me and he said two things. One, he said the nightmare was over if you wanted it to be, and as you know, Ashley has now trademarked that and has it in bronze on the side of the building. But man, what a message that was! You know, I didn't quite understand what he meant when he said that. Until I saw the nightmare was really over and things had changed. And he also said to me, which took me a good 20 years to understand, that he thanked God every day he was an alcoholic. And, you know, when I checked into Ashley, you know, my marriage was over, I thought. My relationship with my kids was over, my business, my life was over, everything was over. And I couldn't understand how this little Irish Catholic priest was telling me being an alcoholic was the greatest thing that ever happened to him. But wait, man, do we know that now, being a fellowship of the believers? Do we not know that, you know, this disease is a blessing that we have? And that, you know, I listened to Russell last night on a talk. He said he feels sorry for people who don't have the program, you know, people who are not alcoholics, who don't have a program and are lonely. And we have this program. You know, we have this. I mean, I'm proud to say that you and I are members of the Fellowship of Believers, you know. And that's a big difference. You know, the first 22 years I did this before relapse, I was a member of the Fellowship of the Problem. And I you know, what I didn't hear you talking about really were problems now. I heard you talking about how things have changed since you're a believer. And, you know, again, my sponsor happens to be a step 6 guy. No matter when you listen to Russell, no matter what the step is in the step series, no matter what the topic is in a topic meeting, Russell talks about step 6. And he said the other night, on Thursday night, he said that he doesn't care what anybody says. If you do a step 6 well, if you do it right, you won't drink. He didn't say that about any other step, but he said it about step 6. And I see, you know, what he talks about, and what's happened to me has happened to you, which is we are now separating ourselves from the rest of the pack. You know, those of us that are members of, you know, Fellowship of the Believers, you know, Russell talks about the rocket ship that takes off, and as you get to a certain point, something drops off, and there's that separation. Houston, we have separation, and we're on that path, as are most people in South Dixie and BYOC. I mean, these are people that are separated and are going closer to the Lord. And it's just been remarkable, Nikki. The change in you is amazing. So thanks for letting me share.
Thanks, Jay. Gina, come on in.
Hey there, good morning, everybody. I'm Gina, I'm an alcoholic, and wow, so super grateful to be here. And Rudy, first of all, I want to send out, pure love to you and your family. You're in my heart. God bless you. And, you're the image of Alcoholics Anonymous today just showing up, and Nick, I mean, what a great share. And I just love that, you just shared about the disease of alcoholism and then what Alcoholics Anonymous and God has done in your life. Like, that's what we do. And I find it funny how I feel like Russell sponsors all of us because that's all everybody talks about. But, we're all in this together. We're all the same. And I'm reminded by people in my circle that, we walk shoulder to shoulder, and there's nobody greater than and nobody less than, which is a big lesson in my life, And so I love that you explained the destruction of the disease and then how you are the man that you are today, which I admire. And, it was just a great message. And I love seeing all of my friends here, my sisters here, my brothers here. I love you all. And what an amazing opportunity that God has given me to be with you guys this morning. So God bless you all. I love you. Have a wonderful day.
Drive safe, Gina. Keep your eyes on the road. Regina, please come on in.
Hi guys, good morning. I'm also driving, but I reached my destination. Good morning. Thank you so much. Wow. My God. I'm fired up. I'm like nervous and like happy and like a little sad. I'm very sorry for your loss. I cannot even imagine. That's hard to say the and I'm a little sorry. First time of hearing your share, Nick. I'm so honored, honored of following you guys, of had, found God in the room of Sable Palm with Dea in the 6th step. She was doing the 6th step. What amazing, amazing experience. I wish, I could show, people how I was and how I am now. And I wish I could be as eloquent as Nick was today, referring to his, I like to say his other life. We know it's the same life, right? But my other lives were, very dark. And you reminded me of, that we are born again, that we are born again in the light of the Spirit, that we are humbled by this program and that we, get to do things differently this time. And how, wonderful to see not only, a brother sharing like that, but a man, for me, that was huge. How, it seems you're able to show how nurturing your heart is. And that is so beautiful to me. Just like Jay shared, and I'm just so thankful. Thank you, Val, for sharing. I think it was Val or Vera sharing this, that you're sharing today, giving me the opportunity to follow you guys. I love to hear everybody share, get to know everybody every day even more, and I'm just so, grateful that I am an alcoholic, I'm so grateful for that, and that I was able to find you guys and that God led me to you, and that we continue in this path together, as a we. And I love you all. Have a great Sunday. God bless you.
Thanks, Regina. It's nice to see you here. Anybody else want to come on in and share? Do you have time? Come on in, Matthew.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. My name is Matthew Padula. I'm a recovering alcoholic. And Nick, that was an amazing testimony, from where it began to where you are now. It gives a person like myself hope. After 65 years of walking in the dark, that once we give it all over to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, there is hope. That we follow these men and women that are in these squares. And Rudy, I just want to say, my family and I will be praying for your family. I'm terribly sorry for your loss. I can't imagine. And, Nick, my favorite chapter in the big book is How It Works. And I keep reading that every night because my chapter was How It Doesn't Work. That was the book I was reading, How It Doesn't Work. When you listen to people like yourself, you listen to people like Val. David R. was on a few weeks ago, listening to him. If I really want what you have, I have to listen. I have to follow. I just can't be yes and yes and yes and try to do this. I have to get on your shoulders and walk with you. It's just so profound what is here. You listen to people like Tina, Jeffrey, Val. I mean, just the stories are incredible. And I want what everyone has. It's just, there's, I can't make excuses anymore. It's all or nothing. It's all or nothing. Because the clock is ticking, and we do this one day at a time. Last night I went to a meeting and it was just, I hadn't gone to a in-person meeting in quite some time, and it was just overwhelming. I mean, just the love, I think we were talking earlier that, one day we'd all be together and just to meet each other in person, to give that hug, to give that handshake, to say, brother, sister, I love you, because each day, this is a gift. We are gifting each other every day through these meetings. Nick, congratulations on 2 years, and I look forward to walking the walk with you. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, Matthew. Jeffrey, come on in.
Good morning. I'm Jeffrey, alcoholic in recovery. Happy Sunday. Rudy, I'm sorry to hear your loss, and I feel a genuine sadness about that news, and a compassion for you and your family, and you're in my prayers. So I'm sorry to hear about that. Yeah, many times through recovery, I've asked God why. Didn't always get an answer. Certainly not right away, but yeah, I understand the pain. Nick, thank you for your share. I got a lot out of it, and yeah, I feel moved. I know it's a clean slate today, and so I like to start my day off reading scripture, and I often read this in Proverbs 3. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. And that reminds me to fill my day with God thoughts, as others have said, and in recovery, God thoughts in my head and soul have increased, taken over more and more of the noise that's within. A couple of things I got out of your share, Nick, which reminds me of my experiences, that not wanting to feel. And I can look way back, and first I thought it was very manly not to feel on the surface, be tough and not feel, right? And then in my addictions early on, I didn't want to feel at all. I wanted to be numb, And I think, when I look back, I was afraid of my feelings. And I think first I thought I could murder someone if I really got in touch with my anger. And secondly, I think I had this sense if I experience feelings, it might be like falling off a cliff and just screaming, you know? Like somehow if I really felt what I was feeling inside, I might go insane, you know? So alcohol and addictive behaviors helped me not feel. And I wound up in treatment, and I met Father Martin in one of his chalk talks, reminding me. I wound up in treatment, and they said, how do you feel? And I remember thinking, is that some kind of effing trick question? What do you mean, how do I feel? I have no idea what that means. And they give me this chart with faces on it, and they said, you relate to any of this? And I would say, yeah, that son of a bitch who's angry, that's me. I'm homicidal and suicidal. I don't see that on this chart. I don't see any faces that say, but that's how, if I have any feelings, I can identify those. And finally, I just want to share that, you know, I've learned too that in addiction, we stop growing. And, you know, I wound up in our fellowship at the age of 22, ill-equipped to deal with life. I had no tools. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was an empty shell, and the message of AA was, let's start over. Let's accept you don't know shit, and your life's a mess. Let's start over, and we're going to teach you how to live and grow like a man, responsible in society, sober, helping others, knowing God. You know, let's start over. And I built my sober life at that beginning, and it's been wonderful. Again, I'm sorry for your loss, Rudy. Thanks for letting me share.
Thanks, Jeffrey. Angela, good morning. Come on in.
Hi, everyone. My name is Angela, and I'm an alcoholic. It's amazing, you know. It takes an alcoholic to reach the heart. And I'm so afraid for my son. My daughter called his sister, and they're really close. And I just said to her, you know, you gotta make sure there's no guns in the house. He's a hunter. And I understand, because I've said many, many, many times, if I had a gun in the house, I would know I would blow my brains out. Because that's alcoholism. And I've been rageful for decades. Rage, bitterness, hatred. But something touched my heart, what Rudy said, and it's fear. I'm afraid. And I believe that I've been afraid my whole life, and I just didn't know it. Anyway, that's all I have to say. I always plan, whatever I plan never friggin' turns out. I was just gonna listen. I guess God has a sense of humor. Yeah, mine does. Thanks for the meeting, everybody.
Thanks, Angela. We're so glad you're here. Carla, come on in.
Okay, there's a few minutes left then? Good, because...
Yeah, we go to 10:45.
Oh, okay, great, because you know I'm fast anyway.
But not 10 minutes.
No, I'm not, I get it. Thanks for the meeting. Angela, compassion for you, prayers. Rudy, I second Jeffrey in big ways. It just started me crying, and I pray for peace for your whole family. Nothing you can say. Nick, I've heard you share many, many times, and you always demonstrate humility, compassion, and you show the seriousness behind it all. And you've grown and changed. Your story was amazing, and I related to it because you, as a man, you talked about wanting to numb your feelings and that you had had a loss of your father. Well, I thought I was going toward marriage with someone, but his mom died. He's the youngest of, well, no, he's not he's the only son out of daughters. And
and she died last July, and I thought we were running toward marriage and counseling after reuniting again for the 8th time or something over 10 years. But he went on a different journey, and I understand it better now by listening to you, because I think he just wanted to numb the feelings. He had a medication, but he went doctor shopping more and more and more, broke his ribs anyway. Everything's out of control. My life is spinning, but I know God has a plan. I'm in a move now, and I'm going to be a in-house grandma for a while. He's going to serve time because he served time in the past, and that's where Florida's at. But it really helped me to hear your share, Nick, and to be here with all of you, because you all strengthen and support me. And I also want to say also that I grew up in a great household. I mean, I love how you talked about growing up. Wow, what a community, beautiful time. And it was easy to do instruments. Well, for me, it was easy to do piano. And I had like 5 or 6 years, and flute, and it all seemed so easy. I didn't realize maybe that was part of something. And then I went into pot and beer, and everything fell by the wayside. All those abilities were gone because I wanted to be with the cool kids. Anyway, I could relate so much to your share, Nick. Thank you so much, and love you guys. Bye.
Thanks, Carla. Okay, I think anybody else? All right. Rudy, I love you, and I am praying for you and your family, of course. Nick, it was a wonderful, wonderful meeting. Thank you so much. Got a lot of hands raised. I really loved it. And it was a great meeting. And I used to play the clarinet. Anyway, all right, could you pray us out, Nick, please?
I'd be honored to. I do want to mention real quick, thank you so much to my brothers and sisters from South Dixie. All of your touching shares, your kind words, all the praise and glory goes to God. And then, of course, Val and the Roosevelt group. Anytime I'm asked to, I'm sorry, it's hard for me to share on it, but thank you for asking me. I normally pray us out this way, and I'm hoping that it's not one that's done often, but it's important to me and my family. My mother was taught by Franciscan nuns. My aunt was a Franciscan nun, so I'm hoping we can go out with the prayer of St. Francis. Let's please take that moment of silence. I'm humbly asking everyone, please keep Rudy and his family in your thoughts, in your prayers, in your heart. And I'm so grateful that he's sober to be there for his wife, for his daughter, for his grandchildren. Lord, make me a channel of thy peace, that where there is hatred, I may bring love, that where there is wrong, I may bring the spirit of forgiveness, that where there is discord, I may bring harmony, that where there is error, I may bring truth, that where there is doubt, I may bring faith, that where there is despair, I may bring hope, that where there are shadows, I may bring light, that where there is sadness, I may bring joy. Lord, grant that I may seek rather to comfort than to be comforted, to understand than to be understood, to love than to be loved. For it is by self-forgetting that one finds. It is by forgiving that one is forgiven. And it is by dying that one awakens to eternal life. Amen.